Well, good morning. It is a Saturday. That means it is time for Tricks of the Trade with John Allen. Welcome in. This is 93.1 WTJS, the talk of Jackson and West Tennessee. Call-in number is up and running this morning, 731-891-6161, or we'd be glad to take your questions or comments by text at 731-410-7560. And here is West Tennessee's premier honeydew helper, John Allen. Good morning, man.
Good morning. How are you?
I am quite well. How about you?
Man, happy 4th of July to you.
And to you. I got my flag shirt on today. Everything's looking good. You know.
Yeah, we'll be waving that thing in a minute.
Yeah,
so
well, if we can get it off, it's on there pretty tight.
Oh, let's not do that.
let's don't.
Oh,
man. Talking about spoiling the mood now.
Oh, man. Well, I will have fireworks going off around here. Appreciate everybody listening to us and watching us on whatever this is we're watching us on. But,
yes, we're on Facebook Live.
Okay.
At y'all.com or News Talk West Tennessee. Either one of those will dial you right into what we're doing. John Rawl, as we call him on Saturday mornings, John 2, is getting all the electronics put together over there, and we're off and running.
Well, that sounds great. Well, we got all kinds of things we can talk about today, but you know, what we really like to do is to talk to you. So somebody go ahead and kick it off this morning. Phone lines are open, 731-891-6161, or the text line at 731-410-7560. Any way you want to do it, let's get you on the air and talk about what you would like to talk about.
There you go.
You know, I got something I want to holler at about this morning first thing.
Go for it.
I've had extra people in my house this week.
Little people?
Little people.
Well, not as little as they used to be. But
well, yeah. I know, but even we've had some littler ones pop in.
Okay.
And then when you mix all that with a good storm and a dog that doesn't like thunder, and everybody gets to yapping and coughing and carrying on and barking. No, wait a minute. That's what the wife does. The dog was barking. Okay, well, we'll get it right in a minute.
It was a duet.
It was a duet. Anyway,
Yeah.
There's a lot of racket in the house.
Yes, sir.
You're looking for a spot to be quiet, you know, which made me think of soundproofing.
Yeah, okay.
So I had one of my customers talk to me the other day about soundproofing, and what she said was, John, I need to get it a little quieter where sound doesn't transfer between these walls.
Right.
And I said, okay. She says, can you squirt me a little insulation in the walls and a little more in the ceiling? I said, squirt you some insulation? She says, yeah. I says, well, what do you think that will do? She said, well, you know, insulate it. I want it to muffle that sound. I said, well, honey, I'm sorry, but that will not take care of a sound problem. She looked at me with that deer in the headlight look and said, I don't understand. She said, well, insulation is not for soundproofing. Might help a little bit. What you need is some dead air space. And she still looked at me kind of funny. And I said, well, you know, your house is already built. We could have accommodated that about 10 years ago when you did this, but right. What you really need is a little dead air space. And she says, well, I want a spot where I can sit here with my computer and hear my music. And I thought I wanted some insulation. I thought I wanted a solid door up here instead of this hollow core door.
Yeah.
And I says, well, that won't work either. What you need is some dead air space. So, you know, that's kind of a common misconception that insulation will insulate sound, but it really won't. It helps a little bit, muffles it just a little bit, but it really doesn't stop it. You really need what's called dead air space. So we actually ended up doing something in her room by running around the walls with some hat channel, which is okay. It had nothing to do with hats, but it's just a term that it's basically it's a little spacer that you can put on the wall. Then we put another layer of sheetrock on it. And it created what's the dead air between the two layers of sheetrock helped insulate her room.
Yeah.
From sound. Now around the door though, all your sound comes through around the edges and under the door.
The bottom.
Yeah, she had a pretty good gap. You know, you could throw a small cat under that crack under her door. And so we put her in a threshold and put some weather stripping, but a little more dense weather stripping around like you do in a sound studio.
This is an interior room now, right?
That's right.
Okay.
It used to be a bedroom, which she got rid of the kids.
Right.
And was converting it into her media room.
She's going to podcast.
Well, I don't know what she's going to do in there. But anyway, we got her all fixed up, and she's painting it today. That's her contribution to the project, and hopefully she'll be soundproof and quiet. And the trouble is, I told her, I says, now, believe me, if somebody comes to your front door and rings the doorbell, you won't hear it. And she said, well, what do I do now? I said, you're going to have to get you a ring button to go to your phone to where something rings, or get you a remote ding-dong, you know?
Yeah.
And plug it in there, and you can go with a little wireless system, and to where it goes ding-dong in your soundproof room.
You know, I've been thinking about it, and I've talked to you about this for years and years and years, and just never have pulled the trigger because I guess I don't want it as bad as I think I want it. But I have the same problem. If I'm upstairs, you know, we have a 1.5-story house, and my office is upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
I can't hear the doorbell up there,
mm-hmm.
even with nothing going on. If I'm just sitting there quiet, you can't hear it. Likewise, in the summertime, if you're out on the patio, you can't hear it out there. Somebody comes to the front door or the garage door. So I've been thinking about doing that very thing. I just haven't done it yet. Maybe today is the day.
I've got one. It's in the box.
In the box.
Had it for over a year.
You haven't installed it yet.
No, I haven't. Mainly because I don't want to read the instructions.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm waiting for my son to come do it for me. And it's just one of them things I just don't want to do.
All right, here's a good question. I think it's a good question. We'll find out. If you do away with your wired system, and you got one of those Ring doorbell cameras, will it work with a wireless?
Yep.
It will.
Yep.
Okay.
You can. It depends on which one you buy, but yes, you can. And I really just about every door I go to, out in doing service calls, I'm just amazed at how many people have these Ring doorbells now.
Yeah.
And eventually they answer the phone, but you can tell they're not in there because the sound's kind of weird.
Yeah,
they're out somewhere, and
if they're remote,
yeah. But they want you to think they're right on the other side of the door.
Huh. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They want you to think you're there, so they'll make you go away.
Well, most of the time I wouldn't try to go in there anyway, whether they were there or not, because the biggest thing I have between me and them most of the time when I go to people's houses is a big dog. Mm-hmm. And he's a good doorbell right there, and I'm not going past him.
Yeah, you hear that barking, and it keeps getting closer and closer to the door you're staying at. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And never take their word for it when they say, oh, don't worry about that. She's on a chain in the garage.
Yeah. Or my dog doesn't bite.
Yeah.
And he's hanging onto my heel right then, my britches leg.
Yep. And then you get the old W.C. Fields line. You know, I thought you said your dog didn't bite. He don't. That's not my dog.
Not my dog.
I had one back years ago when I was in the appraisal business over at Beach Lake, of all places. And there are fireworks over there tonight, by the way. But the lady said, don't worry about it. Go to the front door, and if the dog barks, don't worry about it. It's a female Doberman.
Uh-oh.
And she's on a chain in the garage. I said, okay, no problem. So they had just refinished their driveway, so I had to park down at the street and walk up the driveway, which was maybe 35, 40 feet. It wasn't that far. I got about halfway up the driveway, and I see said Doberman stick her head out from around the carport over there, the garage side. And she starts barking at me. I said, oh, don't worry about her. She's on a chain, right? Then I could see half of the dog. Then I could see the dog's tail. And then I could see the chain dragging behind the dog.
Oh.
She backed me all the way to the car with her teeth showing. I mean, that one scared me. I only had 2 or 3. In 36 years, I only had 2 or 3 dogs that actually got after me. So
I have never been on the hood of my car but one time. I'm not talking about the hood. I mean the top of the car.
Yeah.
And I had a I may be pronouncing this wrong, a Mastiff?
Yes, yeah.
Put
Big
me
dog.
on top of the car and was slobbering all over my door handle trying to get up to me. Not a good feeling.
Nope.
Oh, well, you know.
I called the lady and I said, your chain's broken. And she said, excuse me? I said, your dog chain is broken. And I explained to her what happened. And I said, can you come meet me out here and let me in the house? And she said, no, I'm at work. I can't do that. And I said, well, I hate to tell you this, but I said, I'm not going back up there again. I said, I'm leaving and we'll reschedule this, but I said, there will be an additional fee. And she didn't like that either.
No. Oh, well.
Oh, well, stuff happens. 731-891-6161 to call John Allen. It's Tricks of the Trade on a Saturday morning, and we'd like to hear from you. 410-7560 is the text line, and we'll be glad to take your text there. Anything you want John to help you with, any questions you have for him to answer, he'd be more than happy to do that. I tell you what, John, let's take about a 60-second break right here, and we'll be right back with more. Mitch Carter. Dr. Carter restores old photos to reborn status. He will surgically crop and upgrade your paper photos to perfection, transplant them to canvas, and will perform photoplastic surgery, transforming them to an oil painting. Professional business photos, crafts, keepsake, holiday, engagements, and small marriage memories. His vet skills will capture your pet's character in a photo too. Call 427-1296 or see the doctor at Moore's Studio.
No payments for up to 5 months on the world's best cars, trucks, and SUVs at Car Lot Nissan of Jackson. Shop today. 12 different Nissan models with financing rates as low as 0 and terms up to 84 months. No payments for up to 5 months on brand new Nissans. Car Lot Nissan of Jackson, 495 Van Drive. Shop online 24/7 at carlotnissanofjackson.com. Hashtag better see Big Steve.
It is the 4th of July. Welcome into Tricks of the Trade. John Allen with you here on 93.1, and we'll take your calls, as we've said, 731-891-6161. Or text it at 410-7560. We'll get right back to you and put you right on the air. And on the break, you said you want to talk about nail pops.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like everybody is kind of happy these days.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they just get all excited over the least little defect in a house. And I've actually been called and asked to testify and write reports on certain phenomena in a home with regards to things that just happen. And one of the more common things that happen, especially in new homes, that when it happens, people just kind of go to pieces. They just really think something bad is going on. And that's when you're looking up at this pretty little wall on a house that's just a few months old, and you see the head of a nail coming through the sheetrock. Or a little blister-like thing, and you go to poking on it, and it goes in and out.
Yeah.
And those are called nail pops. And everybody thinks, well, somebody screwed up, and it's the fault of the builder. And you know, if he'd have known what he was doing, he didn't put enough nails in there, I mean, or he put too many nails, or maybe he missed the stud, or there's just all kinds of things going on. And really, it's one of those little natural things that nail pops are kind of natural, but you see them more in houses that were built in the wintertime when it was damp outside all the time.
Right.
And the timbers, the framing of the house got wet, which is no big deal, but you got the moisture in the wood, and then you come on and you finish the house, you get it in the dry, and then you put the sheetrock on it, and then these nail pops start happening. And that's the nail pops is the wood drying out. Is all it is.
All right.
And where it was nice and tight and swole up against the nail when it had moisture in it, and then here you go, you're running your air conditioner, which is a dehumidifier.
Right.
And the moisture starts to get away from the timbers, and it releases some of the nails. and you have one start working its way out. And that's all it is. And that's kind of unsightly. It's something that you don't like to happen in a brand new house, but it is pretty common. There are things you can do to relieve the problem if you start having nail pops. And I guess that's the thing I really wanted to talk about is what do you do when you have one? Well, some people will just go and hit the head of that nail again with a hammer, drive it back in, put a little putty over it or sheetrock mud and paint over it and think they're done, only to find out that it's going to come back again in just a matter of weeks. So what you need to do is pull that nail out. And while you could put another nail in it in a different spot, I always recommend people to use screws on this. Now here's where the cure-all drywall screw comes into play. If you use a drywall screw, just shoot it in about an inch below where that hole was and pull it up tight. Don't break the paper on the sheetrock as far as the cover on it, because you don't want it to go down into the chalk.
Right.
Building houses, you're finding people, instead of nailing sheetrock up, they're using actually very little nails now and actually very few screws. They're actually gluing it to the stud. And you'll see caulking tubes that actually have adhesive in it, and that will be a good thing to do, to use to keep those nail pops from happening. So that happens, that eliminates a lot of the problems. So you might want to keep that in mind. What we got over there?
I believe we got a caller coming in. Let me hit that button right there and see if we can get them on the air.
Good morning and welcome to Tricks of the Trade.
Good morning, Mr. John. Yeah, I need some help with my well. I need somebody that do well drilling help me out on my tank.
That's a deep subject.
Do you know anybody that does? Excuse me?
What's I said that's a deep subject. What's going on with your well? What's it doing?
Well, the water is constantly running, on the side with the little piece on the side where the water just kind of squirts out. It's just constantly running. It doesn't stop.
You talking about the well keeps running, or you've got water coming out of the faucet that won't cut off?
No, it's out by the well. It's a little white thing out by the well, and there's a little piece on there where the water comes out, and the viewer just squirts out. I guess with the air. I'm not familiar with the term, but it constantly run. I got it kind of plugged up a little bit now, but I'm wondering, do you do that kind of work or know somebody that could help me?
Actually, I do not work on wells, and there's just too many things that could get going on that are over my head. But I would tell you, you're going to probably need to call a well man, not a plumber, but a well man, and let them come out. It could be as simple as a little bleeder valve on the side of it. You could have an actual crack in the pipe. It could be losing its prime and discharging water. There's a lot of things that could be going on there, none of them major. But do you live here in the Jackson area?
No, I live in Haywood County.
Haywood County. There are a couple of good well people over there. Go to, do you, I hate to say this, but do you have a Yellow Pages, a phone book?
Yeah.
Look, okay,
yeah, I got Yellow Pages.
All right. Look. Well, very few people use a phone book anymore. They Google everything. But if you'll look in your Yellow Pages under well, there's a couple of good people over there. I don't have any names and numbers with me right now, but give them a call. Now, it may be difficult to get one this weekend, being a holiday weekend, but they should be able to work you in next week. If for some reason you can't locate one, give me a call at my office first of the week, and I'll get you a name of a couple of good people in that area that we've used in the past. And that phone number to call my office is 731-427-1120.
All right.
If you'll call me.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thanks for calling in this morning. Goodbye.
All right.
It's that simple, 731-891-6161. Put you right in the in the box, and we'll be more than happy to take your call at that point.
Well, Jim, are you shooting off any fireworks?
Not right now.
Not right.
No, never mind. Must be the beef burrito again.
Yeah, it could have been.
I really don't. There's some fired off in my neighborhood last night. I could hear them, but I didn't even buy any this year.
Man, it was booming around my house last night, and my little dog, she was kind of going nuts.
Oh yeah, mine don't like it either.
Yeah, but it just reminded me of back when we was little and didn't know better, how we could have these Roman candle fights and what's the little rockets that had the stick on them?
Bottle rockets.
Bottle rockets, yeah.
Yeah.
Used to have had a piece of conduit that I would bend and stick one in it, and you'd hold it like a pistol. Could shoot them things off, and you had. I guess it's kind of like the BB gun. You put your eye out with it.
Yeah.
know?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But I just
Yeah,
can't have any fun like that anymore.
The bottle rockets, holding them and then throwing them up in the air to give them a little more lift.
Oh yes.
To do that, yeah. But then you wake up the next morning and there's no hair halfway up your arm.
Are they even having fireworks anywhere this year?
Yeah, Lexington has their big extravaganza on the lake this afternoon, and Medina, I believe, had one last night. Maybe Milan had one last night. But there's a bunch of them around West Tennessee. Yeah, the two here in town. The firefighters thing that they used to do at the airport, they canceled it because of the COVID thing, and then of course there's no baseball being played at the ballpark at this point, so they didn't do that fireworks.
Well, you don't have to have
either.
baseball to have a fireworks show.
I guess you do if you're doing it at a ballpark.
Well, you could sit in your car out there and watch it from the road like I did several times.
You're talking about fireworks. I've told this story before, and a friend of mine lived behind me. He lived on Russell Road. We lived on Wildwood, and there was a lot between that belonged to a homeowner on another street, which buffered our two yards. So we'd go by the cherry bombs.
Oh yeah,
the big red ones, and we'd take a tennis racket, and he would be in his yard, and I'd be in my yard. And we'd throw those things up and hit them, like throwing grenades at the other guys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you could always see the trail going by. We were out there doing that one day, and I saw him move from one side of the lot to the other right quick. So I aimed to the right side of the lot, and I threw it up, and I gave it a little more extra than normal, and I didn't see the trail in the air. And I looked down, and there it was, stuck in the webbing of my tennis racket. Had to go buy a new tennis racket. It blew that thing all to pieces.
Can you buy cherry bombs anymore?
I don't think so. Cherry bombs and M80s, I don't think you can buy them anymore at all. I may be wrong. I hadn't bought any in a long time. But,
what's up with that?
They're dangerous. We too stupid to use them nowadays, I guess. Who knows?
They're big brothers protecting us.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. We were, before we got the call, and thank you, caller, again, the nail pops. You said you don't want to break the paper because you don't want to get down in there, and we're gonna get off the subject on nail pops again because we have another call coming in. There's a little bit of lag on this thing, so I'm going to hit it right now and go for it.
Good morning and welcome to Tricks of the Trade.
Good morning, fellas.
Hey.
Issue: central heating air unit, older home, plaster walls. The thermostat was put in the middle of the home down a hall. And it is, being an older home, it's a small hall. But the areas get cooled off that need to be cooled off. The areas that need to be warm are warm well before it reaches the thermostat. And it continues to run and run and run. And I'm thinking, well, we need to move the thermostat. I looked online, and it's an easy job. Well, appears to me you need to be an electrician to do that.
Well, you can be an electrician or a heating and air guy, but it is a low voltage wire. And if you can get some more of the thermostat wire, it could be a 3-wire cable or 5-wire cable, depending on the type of unit you have. But you can move that, but it is also it's a good idea to keep it in the general vicinity of where the return areas, and don't get it too far off in one room. because you'll start getting some false readings in. Just remember that thermostat is the brain, and whatever temperature it is right there is what it's going to tell that unit to do, whether to come on or turn off. What I would do if I was you, rather than moving the thermostat, is adjust your airflow, possibly with some dampers, and you can do what's called balancing. Balance that air in your rooms to keep the temperatures as consistent as possible by determining how much air is going in there. So I don't necessarily mean choke them, I mean turn them off. You don't ever want to do that. But if you can keep your doors open to where the return can pull the air out of those rooms and you can get good circulation, there's no reason you should have to move it.
Well, you can walk into all of the rooms and it's comfortable, whether you want heat or air. But when you walk down that hall and get around the thermostat, it's either going to be cooler when you want heat or hotter when you want cool. Right there around the thermostat, and every other place in the house is just fine. So I will try that. I will dampen those. I've actually had put some of those little clear half, I don't know what you call them, covers over them and direct it towards the door. And that didn't seem to do a whole lot. And I just was just a little concerned that if you want a different temperature, just walk down the hall and stand by the thermostat. Everywhere else in the house feels fine.
Well, you know, you've got just make sure that you've got your doors open. And I'm assuming your return air is right there by the thermostat.
Well, there's one room across from it, a bedroom off. Actually the door is directly across from it, and there is a vent under a window directly across from it. Across the bedroom. So. I don't know. I've just kind of been puzzled that it just so happens that where it is, it was convenient because that's where the filter is in the wall also.
Right.
And also there's a closet there, a storage closet that you can go in, and then it goes up into the ceiling. And it is a little warmer in that closet. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, too.
Not really.
But anyway. Well, I appreciate the info, Mr. Allen, and I appreciate you guys being on. Have a great 4th.
All right, you too. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, Texter.
Lines are open this morning, 731-891-6161, or a text at 731-410-7560. Any way you want to get through, we'll be happy to talk with you.
Yes, and don't forget, we're also on Facebook Live on y'all.com, the Facebook page, and News Talk West Tennessee Facebook page. And John, too, correct me if I'm wrong on this, that a little later in the morning, you'll be able to find this episode on YouTube also, right under Tricks of the Trade, and y'all.com. Yeah, so we're everywhere.
I'm going to tell you how easy it is, folks. Even I was able to pull it up, and I am not a technological person. I actually figured it out last week.
Yeah, it's once you've done it a time or two and get over the fear factor, like us dinosaurs have, we're afraid we're going to hit that one button and everything in the western United States is going to disappear, but it don't.
That is something.
All right, I'm going to move my little self right over here. We have a text coming in.
Uh-oh.
All right, you ready for this one? It says, I have had a well for 33 years. The best, in capital letters, service I have ever received was Cummings Well Service. I used them last year. They had to come on a Saturday and didn't charge any extra. Even their phone scheduler could diagnose my probable problem over the phone. Reasonable charges, and that's from Pamela, our texter this morning.
And I have used Cummings, and they are excellent. So did she leave a phone number over there for that lady in Haywood County?
You must be psychic. Yes, she did.
Well, all right.
731-424-9129. That's Cummings Well Service, and our caller previously who had the well problem, there you go.
There you go.
That'll get you started anyway.
to the young lady in Haywood County, there's your answer right there.
Thank you much, Texter. We appreciate that. You're listening to John Allen's Tricks of the Trade on 93.1 WTJS Radio. Trivia question. Do you know what WTJS stood for when it first came into this market?
No clue.
No clue. Well, the W is a designation of a radio station, back in those days, a radio station east of the Mississippi River. West of the Mississippi River, they used K as the primary, the starter letter. The W, the TJS, when this signal first came into the market in 1932, it was owned by the Jackson Sun. WTJS.
No kidding.
Yeah. How about that?
Well, I am just sitting here in awe.
You can't buy that in a big box store, but I thought I'd tell you anyway.
Well, all right. That's I did not know that.
You didn't know you were historic, did you?
No, I didn't.
Hysterical, maybe, but not historical.
Yeah, we'll say that anyway.
Oh, man, you listened to John Allen this morning, and did we ever get through with our nail poppers?
I think we pretty well got
okay.
our nails popped and probably squelched a lawsuit or two.
I'm amazed that you said they're not using nails and screws on them anymore, but they're gluing those things. I guess.
No. Don't misunderstand me
Yeah.
now. They're not using as many nails and screws.
Okay.
They're still using nails and screws, but they are gluing the sheets up because it just virtually eliminates nail pops.
Right.
And it's just a better way to do the system.
It's a crazy question, but I'll ask it anyway. Since we're talking about sheetrock, where did the term sheetrock come from? Obviously, you put it up in sheets, but where'd the rock come from?
Well, that's the innards.
Okay.
You know, it's kind of like it's like a hard rock, and it's just the term they coined for it.
Right.
It's that hard inner core that's chalky like.
Right.
And used to call it plaster board.
Yeah,
You know,
I've
back
heard
when
that.
you would put plaster on top of it, and but sheetrock was it was lighter than plaster board and easier to use, and get bigger sheets, and that's all I got.
Yep. Okay. Well,
Sound-
that's good.
that sounded good anyway.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Good answer. Sounds like a game show in here all of a sudden.
Hey, I tell you what, let's do.
Yeah. What?
Let's have a little fun this morning,
I'm up for that.
cause people are probably about as frustrated with this as I am sometimes.
Uh-oh.
And we're going into our old subject. We've done this before,
Okay.
but okay.
Here we go.
We're going to LED. We're talking lights, folks.
Sometimes.
And you're going to the store, and you want to know what kind of watts do you get that's equivalent in LED?
Yeah.
You know, like a 100-watt light bulb, what is that in LED terminology?
Oh, Lord.
And then somebody will throw a Kelvin in on you.
Yep. And then another guy.
Yeah, well, there's watts and Kelvin and lumens.
Yes.
So we want to try to give everybody a crash course, because a lot of people will go to the big box stores today and they'll want to upgrade.
Right.
You know, used to LED bulbs were rather expensive, and now they just about give them to you, and you can't find an old-fashioned incandescent light bulb anymore.
That's true.
So you don't measure LED illumination in watts. You do it in lumens. So if you want a 100-watt light bulb, how many lumens would that be? Well, the answer to that is about 1,600. But if you're going to make it complicated even more, and you're converting that to fluorescent, which is now also becoming the way of the dinosaur, that would be about 25 watts when you're doing a fluorescent bulb. So then they throw in, and they got this K beside that number, and that K is for Kelvin.
Right.
And Kelvin is tells you how bright you want it. You want a bright white light, or you want more of like a warm white. You remember used to when you had just the old Edison bulb, you just had a light bulb, and then whatever came out. And then they came out with fluorescence, and you had cool white and bright white and daylight and then warm white. Well, the higher the rating on the Kelvin scale, the whiter the light is.
Okay.
So like a warm white bulb is like 2700 Kelvin, where a bright white LED bulb is 5000. So that's kind of the way you go with the higher the number in the Kelvin range, the brighter white the light is. And then you just got to learn the lumen watt conversion.
Yeah, see, that's what confuses everybody, me in particular. I just try to
What?
remember to take the old bulb with me and match it up. And even then, you can't do it.
Well, they don't know a lot of times.
What?
Bless their heart. Yeah. You find Kelvin in the store,
Yeah.
and he looks at you and goes, "What?" And they said, "Yeah, that's what we want to know."
Exactly.
He says, "What?" "Well, I don't know." And how many lumens is what's the wattage in the lumens and all that
Yeah.
stuff? So if you want to write this down, folks, I've not got this memorized.
Put this in the notes of your little cell phone because you know you're going to have that with you.
Now, first of all, don't use an LED light bulb in your refrigerator or your oven. That won't work. So,
Really?
Right. So we don't want to do that. When you're doing a conversion, that is. When you
Yeah.
the kind that you screw in. Now,
Yeah.
the new fixtures that you buy, they'll already have them in there. But as far as doing a conversion, where you unscrew your light bulb and you put another one in and you want to put an LED bulb in,
Right.
don't do that.
Don't do that. Okay.
But if you wanted a low watt bulb, like a 25 watt regular old fashioned light bulb, that's about a 375 Kelvin. 375 lumens. I get mixed up sometimes.
if the experts mixed up, how do
That's
we
right.
make it work?
And that's about 6 watts in fluorescent language. Or the old standard 60 watt light bulb that you had with an old screw in Edison bulb is 800 lumens. And you'll see some of them at 750, but 750 to 800 lumens is the same as a 60 watt light bulb, and that's 15 watts in fluorescent language.
Okay.
So there's kind of your range right there. So kind of keep that in mind. And one thing that you should be glad of, and that is, they are getting cheaper. And they say they last 5 years. They're wrong. I got some going out within a year, but I can't ever find my receipt because they printed on this little thermal image paper that fades out and you
Yeah.
can't read it anymore.
Disappearing ink.
I believe I could take a roll of toilet paper up there and claim it was my receipt, and they'd take it.
Well, most of them don't look anyway. If they can find a price, they're gonna they'll take it back. They'll take it back.
But a good light bulb back in 2003, I did look this up. 2013. If I wanted a 60 watt LED light bulb, they were about $70. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Now you can buy that light bulb for about $2.30.
So they got all their development costs taken care of by the
Yeah.
early adapters, as
There
they
you
call
go.
them. Yeah,
That's right.
That's like the guys that buy the newest thing in electronics and pay bukus of dollars for it, and then 2 years later you can buy the same thing for a third. Yeah, I've been guilty of that. Yeah.
Well, speaking of electronics, there's a phrase that people used to use in electronics all the time.
What's that?
That gets them in big trouble in the courtroom.
Oh yeah.
You buy this electronic system. It could be computers, it could be television, all this stuff. And this term that used to be said all the time, state of the art.
Oh yes.
Well, you buy it, and by the time you get to the truck outside with whatever you bought that is state of the art,
Yeah.
it ain't state of the art no more.
No.
Because somebody's replaced it with something better.
That's true. That is
So-
absolutely true.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of technological companies out there that promised in their contracts that everything would be state of the art.
Right.
And then when things started failing and all of their components were antiquated, as the lawyer's term use them now, they're no longer state of the art. It cost a lot of people a lot of money. So you won't see that term being used much anymore. What else you want to get into this morning?
While we're talking about lighting and that sort of stuff, let's switch over to outdoor lighting.
Ooh.
Is most of the outdoor lighting the low voltage stuff, or do you find? I mean, somebody's got an elaborate backyard is probably going to run 110, 120, and do it that way, right? But when you're looking for the low voltage things for maybe just around your patio or to uplight a tree or whatever the case may be in your yard, what's the best thing to look for there, and how do you determine how much wattage you're going or luminizing you're going to need with those things?
A lot of that stuff's solar now.
Yeah, I know, and I'm not sure. I'm not real. When there again, that's one of those early adapter things, and they didn't last very long. I mean, they'd come on and they would look just wonderful, and an hour and a half later they were gone. Now I think that technology's better now, and if there's anyone out there who's using the solar outdoor lights, I'd love to hear from you. But generally, do you figure your wattage based on like you would do it if it was a 110 system or 120 system?
Well, actually, you won't find many of them that are 110, 120 systems.
Right.
They're all low voltage, either 12 or 24 volts.
Right.
And there'll be a bigger cable running around, and you've got these little crimp-on connectors that typically fail all the time.
Yep.
But, you can go with just some about 8 to 10 watt bulbs in there and string them along kind of like Christmas trees. Mm-hmm. And it works pretty good. A lot of the outdoor illumination now is getting away from those little pendant lights you stick in the ground and go into LED light and just broadcasting the whole area.
True.
Because it's so cheap to operate.
Yeah.
And the fixtures just kind of look funny. They're square and got these little pinhole openings in them that the lights are coming in and coming out of, and it's just one of those things. Let's take a phone call this morning.
All right, let's do that. Maybe we'll get some information on that. Let me get over here to my talk button. Where is my talk button? Right there.
Good morning and welcome to Tricks of the Trade. Are you with me?
Hi there, John. How you doing this morning?
All right.
I got a question for you. I've been working down here in the lower part of my house. I got one of these split level houses, and downstairs we need to redo the walls. And I took all of the paneling down, and some places over here on the wall now, all these walls on the exterior house, some of them got this black board. It kind of got a soft feel to it when you put your hand on it, but it looks like it's some kind of fiber board. And then in other spots, like over here in the corner, it's just raw wood. And I'm trying to figure out, do I need to find some of that black fiber board, or is there some other insulation kind of option I need to put on the walls here on the inside?
On the black fiber board, which we used to call just blackboard back in the day, you're going to probably find that hard to find. Just about everybody has gone to a styrofoam board. It's lightweight, it's cheaper, it's easier to put up, and that's probably what you're going to have to substitute that with. The board you're talking about is a 1/2 inch thick, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't tell from right here, but that's probably about right when you look at it compared to the.
Well, it's probably
just raw wood sitting over there.
Yeah, it's probably 1/2 inch thick. But if you went to a lumber yard and you would buy, it'd probably be a blue styrofoam board. You'll probably pay $8-9 a sheet for it, a 4x8 sheet, and that's probably what you're going to have to find. I'm not really sure where you'd be able to find the blackboard, or some people call it builder's board, where you'll be able to find that anywhere. But use your styrofoam board because it's actually has a better insulation quality to it, has a higher R value, and it's easier to work with, and it won't chip off and come apart like the old blackboard did. I think you'll be happy. And take some duct tape and tape your joints with it, and that just helps the insulation factor even more.
All right.
All right.
What I got now down here, and once we replace all that part, it's also got some of that Owens Corning pink fiberglass on top of it. Now it says it's an R7 insulation, 2 1/4 inch. Is that the right kind of insulation for a lower level of a split level house?
If it's in the wall and it's in a stud cavity, in other words, it's a 2x4 there to give you 3.5 inches, I would go with an R13. That is a 3-inch batt insulation. You'll have a better insulating quality there, and what you've got's pretty old school. That's maybe all they had back in the day, but you can't even buy those bats that you're talking about that you have in there now. You can't even buy them anymore. But you should be able to find an R13 or an R11, and that will fill that cavity up and be a much better insulation.
Now, I looked at it at the Home Depots, and when I gone out there, it seemed that they didn't have the type that I got here, even in the R value. It didn't have the foil on the back. This stuff I got in here, it looks like it's coated in aluminum foil. Is that, do I need to find that, or are we just looking for just plain old?
Yeah, if you're putting it back on top of that blackboard or styrofoam board, you do not have to have a facing on it. So the fact that it doesn't have a paper or foil back, it doesn't make any difference. It'd be cheaper to buy it without it anyway.
All right. Well, I thank you, Mr. John. I've been wondering that. I need to get this thing rolling.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate the call this morning. Let's take another call, Jim.
All right.
All right, let me get right there.
Good morning and welcome.
Hey, Mr. Allen, I apologize for calling back, but I meant to ask you on that thermostat I was talking earlier. If I opt to put another one down the hall in a different location as I anticipated, you're saying that I can get some thermostat wire and run it from the existing wire to that one. Now, that would require going under the house and running it up through the wall and all that, like pulling wire and that sort of thing. And then one other issue, if I got another completely different thermostat and left that one there and just disconnected that wire, or just cut that thermostat off, put another one up and try it out for a while. I basically, with plaster walls, you're limited, and you got to really be careful. You know that.
That's
what
right.
you can do. And I don't want to go in a wall unless I just have to, and I sure don't want to repair one.
Well, if wherever you're going, maybe if by chance there's say a closet in that area that you can come up inside the closet, you can just go buy you another thermostat wire. And remember now, you're not jumping your wires from thermostat to thermostat. You'll have to go all the way back to the unit. And
so I'll have to get a completely separate one, is what you're saying. I couldn't tie into the one, pull that one off of the existing one and tie into it. Well, actually, that'd be too much trouble. I'm probably making a mountain out of a molehill.
Yeah, you don't get it too complicated now. But there are people that do have seasonal thermostats, especially if it was like a 2-story home. They'll have one thermostat upstairs, and they'll have one thermostat downstairs that controls one unit. And you're getting into kind of zoning and working off of the premise that hot air rises and the cold air goes to the floor. And so, you can do that, but make sure you don't get yourself into pickle to where neither one of them are working. So if you get much more complicated in what you're doing, you might want to call a heating and air guy.
Well, I think that's what I'll do. I'll get the installers that put it in. I believe that's where I'm going to head. But I appreciate the info.
All right, thanks a lot. Appreciate you calling.
Thank you, caller. It is 8:49 on this Saturday morning, the 4th of July, and we appreciate the calls coming in this morning. It is 731-891-6161 if you have a call. And, John, we're going to take about a 90-second break right here, and we'll be back to kind of wrap things up here on Tricks of the Trade for this Saturday morning.
All right.
Stay with us.
Get more bang for your buck at Big Bang Fireworks in Milan. See the largest selection in the area and lowest prices in the area. You won't beat these prices. Excalibur's only $49.99. Bottle rockets, $2.99 per pack. Get more bang for your buck at Big Bang Fireworks in Milan. See the largest selection in the area and lowest prices in the area. You won't beat these prices. Bottle rockets, $2.99 per pack. Artillery shells, only $3.99 per box. Sparklers, $1 a pack. And here's a price you won't beat for the ultimate fireworks display. Here's a more bang for your buck bonus. Spend $100 and get another $25 worth free. They don't call it Big Bang Fireworks for nothing. Open Monday through Sunday, July 5th. Same hours every day, 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. in Milan. And shop in air-conditioned comfort at 6060 West Van Hook on Highway 70, just a mile west of Milan. Look for the red, white, and blue dancing men. Get more bang for your buck at Big Bang Fireworks, Milan, Tennessee.
Hey, this is Jimmy Leach inviting you to tune in to my show, The Investigator, every Saturday morning at 9 right here on the Talk of Jackson 93.1. My friend Brad McCoy and I talk about current headlining cases, how law enforcement really works, cold cases, serial killers, and much more. Plus, we'll have special guests like former state attorney generals, private detectives, gang experts, sheriffs and former sheriffs, chiefs of police, and many others. The Investigator with me, Jimmy Leach, every Saturday morning at 9 on the Talk of Jackson 93.1.
That is coming up right after we get through here on Tricks of the Trade with John Allen. We have another call in the box, and John, take it.
Good morning and welcome to Tricks of the Trade.
Is that me, John?
That's you.
That's you.
Okay, I've got in my kitchen, I've got some ceiling lights. I've got 4. The bulbs on them about the size of a silver dollar. We can turn the light on, and when the bulb gets kind of hot, one of them start going out, and then the other one start going out. What's the problem? You know, there's
let
the
me
bulb's
get
about the size of a silver dollar. You know, they're not very big.
you talking about fluorescent bulbs? Are these fluorescent
No,
bulbs?
these are just ceiling lights. You know, just small ceiling lights. I had put in about 15 years ago when I built the house, but they just started doing that.
All right, let me ask you a couple of questions before I answer that. Are they in the ceiling?
Yeah,
Are they
they're in
all
the
right.
ceiling. I
All
got
right.
4 of them.
And they are recessed can lights, in other words, and the bulb screws in and out? Is that right?
I don't know how the bulb comes out. I guess it screws out or maybe push up and twist it off.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. When was the last time you changed the bulbs in those?
Well, I never have changed them.
Never have changed them. Okay. All right. About how old are they?
Well, we've been here about 15 years.
Okay. Chances are you've got a starter that has gone out, and up in that can there is a little drum, it's a little silver drum that looks kind of like an M80 firecracker used to look.
Mm-hmm.
And you can push in and twist that out and take that down to one of your hardware stores and replace that starter. It's real easy to do.
Okay.
And that was back before we had ballast that automatically did all of that. That sounds like that's what your problem is. You need a new starter. If they're trying to come on and then they go back out, that's what you're going to need. And you might even want to consider converting that to a different type fixture if you're so mechanically inclined. They make these little small cans now that have LED conversions, and you'll strictly take out that bulb that you have and put this new LED disc in there and screw it in where your bulb was, and you won't have to worry about that anymore. And it's a really good thing, and it puts out a nice bright white light.
Yeah. I'll have to go up in the attic, wouldn't I?
No, sir. You should be able to do all of that from downstairs. Just all you'll need to know is the size that you're going to need. It'll probably be either a 4, 5, or 6 inch diameter lens on there. Take that lens off and take it to your store where you're getting it, and they'll walk you through that. If you want somebody that's really knowledgeable of what that is, are you in Jackson by any chance?
I live out in the country. It's about 6 miles from town.
All right. On Airways Boulevard here in Jackson, they're out there by the Fork of Deer River, there's a place called Stanford Electric. It's where I buy all my electrical stuff. And if you took that component you have out there, they will tell you exactly what the conversion is you need on that, and ask you some questions to make sure that you get the right part, whereas you might not get that personal detailed service from a big box store. They may not have that much knowledge of the product. But if you'll go out there and talk to the boys at Stanford Electric, they could help you with that.
Okay. What number are you got some boys that work for you, electrician?
Yeah, that'd be me.
I might call and get one of those, because I ain't much on this electrical work.
All right, well, give me a call, because I'll be the one probably coming out to your house. So just give me a call at my office, and we'll fix you up.
Okay, what's your number?
427-1120.
427-1120.
Yes, sir, that'll do it.
Okay. All right, I might give you a call. So.
All right, appreciate it.
The bulb is sunk in, in the ceiling, so I don't know how to get that bulb out unless I get one of those things on the end of a pole and screw it out. You think that will get it?
Possible, unless it's the kind that push in and twist. That won't do it if that's the case. So give me a call and I'll help you out with it next week.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Don.
All right. Thanks for calling. Appreciate the phone call, folks. Okay. And I don't know if we got time for another one or not.
Let's see. We don't have anything in the line right now. We got about 3 minutes, a little less than 3 minutes.
Okay. Well, all right.
Okay. We need to remind everybody you can see this now, or you can go back and archive from the archives later on Facebook Live, y'all.com Facebook page, and News Talk West Tennessee Facebook page. And in just a few minutes after the show is over, you can go to YouTube. Everybody's familiar with YouTube. And just type in up at the top in your search bar, Tricks of the Trade, and you'll have it.
Amazing.
Yes,
that
it
works.
is. It is.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what we're going to do next week?
What are we going to do?
We're going to lay a floor next week.
Right here in the old country store?
Oh, we're going to do it. We could.
If
I brought a box with me, we could lay it up here on the counter. I'm going to walk people through the steps of laying these LVP floors. That's luxury vinyl plank.
I've seen a lot of that, yeah.
Or LVT, which is luxury vinyl tile. It is so easy to do, but there are a few little things that you need to watch for that they don't tell you in the instructions.
Or on the TV Saturday morning shows.
Oh, yeah. And YouTube kind of leaves a lot of that stuff out, too. But we're going to talk about some of that and some of the pitfalls to watch for, and use a few terms that they don't tell you about on the instruction box. So we're going to try a few little projects like that along the way in the next few weeks. So
good idea.
I'll tell the listeners, if you've got a little project that you want to get started on and you just don't know how to get it rolling, just give us a call. Give us an idea of what you're trying to do, and we'll bring it up on the show and talk about it, and we'll just kind of walk through it together, and then we'll all figure out how to do it.
Hey, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
It's better to hear that on the front end before you get halfway through it and realize that you put down a bunch of mastic or stuff on the floor and you're in the corner and can't get out.
We call these people weekend warriors.
Yes, we do.
they decide they can do everything in a weekend, but they can't, and
Yes.
they're in a mess.
Been there, done that.
Oh, yeah.
Been in the dark because of that.
That's right.
All right, we're going to do that next week, and any other thing that you might have on your mind, simply by calling in or texting to us here on Tricks of the Trade with John Allen. We'll be back next Saturday morning live here on 93.1 at 8 o'clock. Jimmy Leach is coming up next. Have a great weekend.
Have a good 4th, everybody.
Absolutely.